welcome to Lions United TV.
Thank you. It's a pleasure having you in my humble home.
Yes, I'm also very excited to meet you again. I mean, it's always an amazing time whenever I pay you a visit and we have a lot of conversations. I mean, I learn a lot from you, and I'm like I said earlier, I am always very privileged to have you on board as well.
I think we are good to go.
Yes, please. Yes, please. How has life been for you? I mean, it's after President Cup. We've quite not heard from Mr. Kudjoe Fianoo. You happen to be the board chairman or chairman for the Ghana League Club Association, that is the Ghalca. Can you please walk us through your journey, how football administrating started for you?
Oh, thank you very much. I'm somebody who loves football. Unfortunately for me, I could not carry the talent that I had in football to the level that I will be known in Ghana. Those who knew me as a kid in my school days even wonder why I did not take football as a career.
Wow.
So having lost out of the field, I think I tried to make do with off the field activities. Okay. It all started when I joined GNTC. You know, GNTC was a conglomerate with branches all over the country. And we had divisions that were representing global brands. We had Coca-Cola. We had the GNTC Motors that was holding the franchise for Mercedes-Benz trucks, Fiat cars, Olivetti office equipment. We had the department stores. Today we will call them shopping malls. We had the bakery. We had also the heavy equipment division, who were dealing in Komachu. So we had a lot of branches. So there was a need to introduce some sporting activities or sporting competitions amongst these divisions. Yeah. So you have department store, for example, playing motors. You have Coca-Cola playing technical division. Okay. You have this division playing that. So we had those internal competitions. We also play cards. Okay. And I was at the head office. And we, as a PR department, we were coordinating these activities. Okay. Then, so we were playing, and then Coca-Cola also got registered in the INDAFA competition. Initially, beyond the internal competitions, we also registered and we're playing in the INDAFA league.
Okay.
I was in the office one day when I had a call from the celebrated Kofi Bruce that I should visit him at Kokobod. He was then at Kokobod. And Ghana Supply Commission was also directly opposite Kokobod. So when I got there, I met two other gentlemen with Kofi Bruce. Okay. And they were playing around with the idea of forming a competition for the corporate bodies, industries and stuff, and they wanted me to be part of it because they knew that GNTC was having a very competitive internal competitions among the various departments and divisions. Then I offered to participate.
And you were part of the brain behind it.
So I can pride myself in saying that I was one of the founding members or founding fathers of the INDAFA League. Mm-hmm. So, and I was put in charge of the disciplinary committee then. So we started, and that competition gave us the opportunity to recruit players like Joe Doi, even Nino Thompson of Accra Suffolk, Yashin, and a lot of players, because it gave them opportunity to be engaged as staff of. We were offering them employment.
Okay.
So we were able to poach some of the then Division 1 players from Haas, players from Olympics. So it got to a point we felt we were too big for INDAFA.
Okay.
So we wanted to enter into the regional league. Mm. So we went by then there was this team called Titanics, Accra Titanics. So we went and took over that club. And then we started playing in the second division.
Second division by then.
And GNDC had an office in London.
Okay.
So when it comes to equipment,
it was easy for you to do.
We were just getting the boost. You just send the order to our London office.
Please let me come in. After you purchased the Titanic Club or you got engaged with the Titanic Club, the same players that you recruited from the inter-department games were moved into.
Some who were not attached to clubs were easily taken along with it. Some were playing Division 1 then and stuff. Some moved from their clubs because they were assured of regular income in the sense that they and some were also learning a trade.
Okay.
Joe, for instance, was in the refrigeration department where he was learning how to fix fridges and things. One of them who, Ajin, for instance, who was our captain, was at a point in time in charge of the payroll.
Wow.
Because he could work. By then they were bringing this, not computers, but because he had Olivetti, we had some machines from Italy that could prepare the payroll for all the staff, and he was in charge. Mm-hmm. Others were also taken to the motors department, where they were learning to become mechanics. So we played that also for a year. Then Akotes got relegated from the National League, and they were contemplating doing away with the team. So we went and took over. So we moved from current second division to Division 1.
Straight.
And we were placed in the southern sector. Then the Division 1 league was in two halves. The country was divided into two halves. We had the northern sector and then the southern sector. Our first year, we were picked by Okwa United.
Oh.
Yes. Okwa United qualified to today's Premier League. The following year, City Traders also qualified for the Premier.
Was it because most of these players that you recruited into the team didn't have so much of experience? That is why they were lacking that potential to be able to qualify the team to the Premier League.
No, we thought the quality was high, but then the intrigues of football. We're in a rush to make it to Premier Division. So when the opportunity came that we could not qualify in the second division to Division 1, and then there was a Division 1 club up for grabs. We went for it, and within 2 years we came to the Premier League.
Wow.
So now, because it is a PR department where I was working, was in charge of those social activities. I was representing the club at meetings.
Okay.
We started at the regional level. I was attending as a rep for. So when we bought Akotes, we changed the name to State Traders. Where we were the national trading organization. So, and we had a hard journal that we call the State Trader. So when it was time to look for a name, we quickly jumped onto that name as the State Traders. So after 2 seasons, we were in the Premier. And as I said, I was representing them in meetings.
Okay.
So I was becoming familiar with football administration.
Okay.
And so when we made it to even in Division 1, Division 1 at that time was also being played on national level. So by dint of hard work, we qualified for the Premiership. Then it was Division 1. So as I said, I was becoming familiar with how football is run at the national level.
How old were you by then?
Oh, very young. Let me do the calculations.
Early 20s?
No. Yes, I'll say early 20s. I'll say early 20s because I got to GNTC in 1971 at the age of 17.
Wow, right after elementary school?
Yeah, right after elementary school. I spent just about a year with my auntie, who was then a receptionist at the head office of GNTC. So she managed to slot me in there. So around that time came the revival of the Ghana League Club Association.
Okay.
So I was attending, by then we used to call it OCLA. I was attending all club meetings, and I was also attending club meetings under the auspices of the GFA. So during one of our meetings, this offer was just thrown
To you.
not to me in particular, but I grabbed it.
Okay.
That they needed an interim secretary. Around that time, I was also doing a correspondence course in journalistic reporting and English. So I saw it as an opportunity to sharpen up my writing skills and things like that.
Okay.
So I raised my hand and I was offering myself to be the interim secretary for the OCLA, the Organization of Ghana League Clubs Association, as it used to be known at that time. So I was given the opportunity. Luckily for me, may her soul rest in peace, my wife was also a stenographer typist.
Okay.
A stenographer. So typing of minutes,
administrative
work, and then working in GNTC at the PR department, getting stencils and papers to run our minutes was not a challenge. So my wife, I'll write the minutes, my wife will get them typed on stencil. Those they were using stencil. And then I'll get them run for meetings.
Okay.
So when the time came for elections, when it got to the secretary, it was offered to me unopposed.
Okay. Had you served already in that position before the election?
That was in the interim.
Okay.
That was my first time in the interim, and that was the time I came with some words like quorum, forming quorum, and things like that. It was straight from elementary school, so that also helped me a lot. So I came out successfully with a diploma in journalistic reporting, majoring in English and reporting. Yeah, so I did that. Somewhere along the line, I managed to get enrolled at the Ghana Institute of Journalism.
Okay.
So I went for a full-time course in journalism. We did journalism, PR, mass comm, and all those things combined. So I was still representing state traders. Then one afternoon, I was at the stadium when the then chairman of the Ghana Football Association, Mr. Elias Tay, called me and said he wanted to offer me an appointment on the GFA. And what appointment was it? He said there was an impasse between the Greater Accra Regional Association of the Ghana Referees Association, Referees Association of Ghana, right? The Greater Accra branch and then the national branch. And then the GFA had to set up a committee to resolve the impasse. So I was made the secretary of that committee.
But let me come in a bit. How were you combining all these roles? Because you were still a student, you were still representing OCLA, you were still with architects, and then you were still with GNTC. How were you combining all these roles?
By then I had age on my side. And then, you know, my boss was, he loved football to a fault. So anything football, he gave me the opportunity to do it. And he was also happy with the progression I was making. And it's like sending your child to the school and you hear from dispatcher that he's doing very well, he's been given this assignment, he's been doing it. So I became the face of state traders.
Okay.
So I was combining all this until when we got the team promoted into Premier Division, immediately the board took over the running of the club. A new management was set up. At a point in time, I was even out of the management. Until somebody said, how can you produce a gentleman like this who is serving on OCLA? So I was brought back as secretary to the club. Then after we presented our report, and as the secretary of that committee, I was to write a report and put together everything for my chairman to sign. There was this bit also. I happened to be the union chairman of the staff of head office. And I was also made a member of a committee of inquiry.
Wow.
When some staff were alleged, and some management staff were alleged to have embezzled funds. And the committee, the whole thing happened in Ghalca. So the committee traveled to Ghalca. So I had that experience of working on a committee and how the report was packaged.
Okay.
So when I packaged the report on the referee's impasse, when the FA chairman saw it earlier, said, you've done a great job.
Well written,
well packaged. So we presented our report, and that was what gave me that bigger platform. So the next call from Mr. Eliaste was for me to go and serve on the security committee of the GFA as secretary.
Wow.
It was there I rubbed shoulders with the late Major Larson. By then he was a captain. Captain Partington, I know he became a brigadier general. The head of the motor transport and whatever traffic unit, and those level
high-ranking
people. And our first assignment was a game between Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire at the Kumasi Sports Stadium. That was when ticket racketeering was very, 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 very high. So we went to Kumasi, and that was the first time that ticket racketeering was broken. Some people even served prison sentences based on that. So that was under the late Eliaste. So I've been in there until the tenure of. Then this arrangement was brought in that the government will bring two people. One will be elected as a chairman. The clubs will also bring a vice and stuff.
Okay.
So the first elections we held to select the vice was between Mr. Ntujemfi and the late Nanaya also. He later on turned to become the Mpabohino of Utufu. So he was elected. He was then the general manager of Texaco. Yeah. So he won. Then he also, I was in the office at Ghana House when he sent for me.
They've always seen the marvelous works you've been doing.
So he sent for me, and then he said, ask for my name. Some call it Kudjoe, some call it Kudjoe, some call it Kudjoe, some call it Kudjoe. But since it's all Monday born, I accept all.
Okay.
But the name itself, I'm an old boy from Keta is Kudjoe. Kudjoe, Kudzo. Kudjoe.
Oh, okay.
And because of my size, it was even turned to Kudjoe,
Okay.
little Kudjoe. But when I came to Tema, incidentally, my Form 4 teacher also came from the Volta region. So I thought he would get the spelling right. But he ended up writing Kudjoe.
Okay, so that is what we have now.
That's what so I kept it.
Wow, okay.
Till today. So he also said he wanted to appoint me as the welfare officer of the Starlets. I said, I am a full-time employee of GNTC.
This was around which year?
That was in 1988.
Okay.
1988. So then I said, no. Then I could only do it if I am permitted by my employers. He said, no problem. So he wrote to the management of GNTC that the GFA was offering me this position is all in the national interest to help in the development of the game. So gracefully, GNTC released me
Wow.
to go in there. And even before then, I remember Black Stars had a game at the Kumasi, at the Accra Sports Stadium. And, because I was on the security committee, we had to go in there, work on the tickets. And so I was there early in the morning. Then there was this conversation as to the bus. But then the Black Stars were camping in Winneba. The bus to convey them from Winneba to Accra. And so, GNTC, we have some very good buses. By then we ordered some Benz buses from Brazil. Okay. If they wouldn't mind, I would try my hand if you could get the bus for them. They said, okay, go ahead. So I called our deputy managing director. He was deputy chief executive in charge of finance and administration, Mr. Kwame Asante. Boss, we need help. The Black Stars are playing, blah, 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 the transport stadium where we need a bus.
To convey them from Winneba to Accra.
They said, okay, I should give you some time. Then we had to look for the transport manager. Okay. We had to go and fish him out from church.
Wow.
To get a driver to go to Winneba to pick the Black Stars to Accra, play their game, and then send them back to Winneba. So through some of these things, I became very familiar with the system. So 1988, I started with the Starlets. We qualified for the first World Cup in Scotland. Because of constraints,
financial constraints,
as to the welfare of I couldn't travel with the team. But significantly, I managed to arrange for sponsorship for the team. I told you we have an office in London.
Yes.
So I went to Coca-Cola and I spoke to the general manager, also a football fanatic. Hello, Ghana, we are going to play in the World Cup for the first time in Scotland. What can Coca-Cola do for us? And they said, okay, we want them to kit us. So they did tracksuits. They did a blazer. When I'm talking about blazer, a blazer prepared in the UK with its trousers, the grey trousers, blue black blazer with the Coca-Cola logo and the Ghana flag, bags, and some other things.
Well stocked.
So what we did was that we sent the measurement of the players. We took all of them to this popular, the name just escaped me. They are used in sewing suits. They are Tadabraka. So we arranged and took the players and they tied him there and they took the measurement. And those days it was telex. We sent the telex and the measurements to our London office, and those things were made. Then the following edition of the World Cup in 1991.
You were still serving on the board.
I was still serving as the welfare of South, the Starlets. So we qualified and went to Italy and won the trophy. So we came back and there was a change in the leadership of the FA. Nana Butler became the chairman with Elijah Wola, the late Jawola as the vice. And then there was a change in policy that the welfare officer position should be
scrapped off.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was done away with. So I went back to my employers in GNTC. In between that, I was doing the club business. All right, the state traders were still around, even though we got demoted from the Premiership. We were still playing Division 1. So I was there. So after the World Cup, 1992, that position was
scrapped off.
So I was approached by Akwa United.
Wow.
Yeah, to come and help them. So I went there as secretary team manager. during out, and then I worked with Coach Ade, Coach Sapong, Utia Kente. We made it to the finals of the FA Cup, and then we almost won the league. We were picked, I think, by House of Okokoto, one of them. That way we were winning the league. But certain issues cropped up, supporters. So I left. And even why I left Ukwawa at that time was that was when Ghalca wanted a full-time admin manager.
Okay.
Yes. A full-time admin manager. I then worked as secretary. I got re-elected for some time. So I dropped that one also. The subsequent elections, I didn't take part. But then that came that opportunity for Ghalca to pick an admin manager. Around that time too, GNTC was also being placed, or I would say was placed on diversity. So I decided to apply to be the admin manager. By then, TEC was also dragging me. The IC was also dragging me to become one of the industrial relation officers of the IC. But during my tenure, I handled some cases between union officers and GASM. And even GASM wanted to also bring me on board, but I think my bias for football took the better side of me. So I applied and I was invited for an interview. And there was this arrangement between the GFA and Ghalca then that Ghalca should shortlist 3. Because they brought people from the ministry. The chief director of the Ministry of Justice was a member of the panel. Somebody from Jimpa was a member of the panel, and some top civil servants. So they were looking for a certain quality. So 3 of us were shortlisted. Myself. So the arrangement was that Ghalca should pick 1, and then the remaining 2 will go and work at GFA as deputy general secretaries.
Okay.
But my bias was for Ghalca. So I've worked there. I was familiar with when I was the secretary. I worked with J.Y. Apia, who was then the treasurer, and some other people. So I was more comfortable going to the Ghalca than. I felt that was an opportunity for me to showcase my potential. But the GFA was already an established, and it was a straight jacket kind of system that maybe people will not see your potential that much. So I
was newly.
Yeah. So my bias was for Ghalca, and incidentally, I was picked by Ghalca. The 2 gentlemen who were also shortlisted, one, Augustus, he went to the GFA as deputy general secretary. The current comptroller general of immigration, Lua Kwamitechi, was the 3rd person.
Wow.
But he also opted to go to immigration.
Okay.
So I stayed put at Ghalca. And I will say the rest is history. I teamed up with the executive at that time. That gave birth to the top 4 and then the President's Cup.
Wow.
Ghalca became a very formidable association. And with the politics of the GFA, when the politics of the GFA set in after Nyahu Tamaklo, where the chairmanship or the presidency of the GFA became elective. Some ESCO members, we were divided. Some wanted to go left, others wanted to go right. So, and as the CEO, I realized I started stepping on some big toes. And I realized that I was overstaying my welcome. As fate will have it, one late afternoon I had a call from one of my very good friends who I started those days, the days of Okla. One Mr. Kudjoe Fianoo. He was representing Olympics then, but he was a very close pal to Sir Sam Jonah. So he moved to Ashanti Gold.
Okay, please hold on. We'll come to Ashanti, but I want us to touch a bit on Ghalca. Then we'll move to your full-time football administration. We are still here with Mr. Kudjoe Fianoo. The channel is Line Osnate TV on YouTube, and we are having an interesting conversation. I mean, like I said earlier, when it comes to football administration in Ghana here, I mean, he is one of the best. No two ways about that. He has been in football administration for close to over 3 decades, and trust me, he has served on numerous boards, held several positions. So I'm still enjoying the conversation. So just stick and stick. Mr. Fianoo, before we go deep into Ghalca, I mean, I want you to enlighten us more about Ghalca, the role of Ghalca. We know that they spearhead activities of clubs playing the Ghana Premier League.
Ghalca have been there. Some people were even imprisoned over Ghalca for taking up concerns for clubs during the military Champions time, the late General Champions time. Some were locked behind bars. The former minister, for instance, Sarah Mensah, at a point in time, he was the secretary to Okla, representing Bofakwa. Mrs. Ambentum, representing Dwarfs at that time. It was formed to serve as a welfare body and also serve as to do advocacy for the clubs. Yes. So they took the destiny of clubs into their hands and trying to get the wrongs right and things like that. Let me cite this example during our time. One fine day we woke up and were told that no club executive will be allowed into the state box. That's the presidential lounge of any of the national stadium, because our old man Alaji Brusa was said to have misconducted himself in the state box in the Kumasi Sports Stadium. So a blank statement was just made that no club official should be allowed to do. We tried getting them to change their minds. It wasn't done. By then we were under the chairmanship of Mr. Kudjoe. So we had a meeting and we decided that all the clubs should boycott the league fixtures for that weekend. Because how do I bring a team, spend money to bring a team to the stadium?
And I won't
be allowed to sit in any of the comfortable seats in the stadium. So those weekend matches never came on.
Wow. No.
It never came on.
And
I remember
it had no effect.
I remember very well that day, it was a Sunday, I wanted to go to the stadium to feel the impact. And I met some commandos at the Osu Crossroad. Luckily for me, they didn't know me. When they went to the stadium, they were told that some Okla people, Kudjoe Fianoo, Sylvester Mensah, and Kudjoe Akeduse, and Anantri and Co. They mentioned all the names. And they asked me whether I knew any of them. I said, no, I know them very well. I knew them very well. We're all members of the association. Unfortunately, I don't have a car. So it is only when we close from meeting, they drop me at home. So I know them by face, by their houses. So they left me. As soon as they left me, I took a taxi
straight
and I went to Sylvester Mensah's house. Hello, Charlie, we have been sought for. So that night, we spent the night in the father's school, St. John's, at Achimota. Then the following day, we had the information that we should come for a meeting at Accra Sports Stadium. So we went to the meeting. The then PND Secretary for Youth and Sports, Honorable Sarah Mensah, who had served on Okla before, was so furious why we disrespected government by not playing league matches. And we told them the reason why. At the end of the day, we call them presidential annex. One of those presidential annexes was given to the clubs.
Okay.
So any club official, be second division, that's where we We were sitting to watch matches. And we started dragging other people, even from the state box. Well, that's why we talk about football.
Okay.
So this issue of football people started from that time. You see. So that was a revolution. You know, one of the tenets of that revolution was that we should fight for our rights. We should take organization, people, the workers' defense committee and stuff. You are to fight for what is yours. You should fight for your rights. So we also took the advantage of that. If every facet of the society should fight for its right, then as football clubs, we should also group and fight for our rights. And we're given that recognition. It got to a point, even government felt that the reps, for instance, me representing say traders, you representing your club, because we're allowed by the club owners to run those errands for them. They went behind us and spoke to the club owners. You people are spending money on, and you allow those young men to come and be trained their weight about. So they even tried to encourage the club owners to form their own association.
Okay.
So that those young guys who come to the stadium to do this, check tickets and things like that. Well, how many club chairmen will have the time to come and check tickets? But luckily for us, even though they got a few of the club chairmen, they couldn't get the numbers. So that agenda became still born. So then, beyond that, the government recognized the clubs as playing a pivotal role in football administration. So there was this arrangement between government and the clubs that now we also put our money into the running of football. You play at some of the state stadia. When players are called to come, government looks after them. So government is also spending a lot on football. So there must be this partnership between government and the industry players. So this arrangement was that government will bring two people to Congress, to GFA Congress, where one of them will be elected at Congress as the chairman. Now we call it president. Then the clubs will also go
for their own Congress as well.
For their own Congress and elect two people. One will be the vice, and then the other will be a member of the management committee. We were then running a 5-member committee. So class will bring two, government will bring two. Then the third one will be representing the schools and colleges, and then the security services. Even that one, they are all government establishments. So invariably, government appoints. They will also meet and appoint someone. So 5 of them will run the FA. So that was the system we've been running until the time of Nyahu Tamoko, when he came and said, as the chairman of the GFA, he should lead the executive committee, because the other dispensation, we had an executive committee headed by somebody else. So there was those clash in the activities. So you ask, who is the boss? Who is the boss? Is it the ESCO chairman or the FA chairman? And to be very honest with you, it manifested in one of our visits. We traveled to one of these South African countries. I've forgotten the name of the country. And Y. Ibrahim, who was then the chairman of ESCO, and Mr. Benkofi all traveled at the same time. And the people gave one room, one suite for the leader of delegation. In this case, who is the leader of delegation?
There are 2 people there as well.
So they offered the accommodation to the late Benkofi. And Benkofi said, I'm here with my boss. I cannot move into the suite. Where do I put? So some of us who were there saw how imperfect, let me use that word in quotes, that how that thing played out. Okay. So to solve the matter, we have to go and rent a different hotel for the two of them. Okay. There is no perfect system in the world. Definitely, there will be some hitches here and there, and that was one of the hitches. But then Kofi accepted it, and but when Nyaho came, Nyaho felt he shouldn't be accountable to, and he must said, forgetting that, but for government bringing him as government rep, would have gotten, nobody could have gone out to pick Nyaho to become the head of the GFA. You get the point? Yeah. So also he also having benefited from that system, realized for him the inadequacies of that arrangement and complained to FIFA. And that was how FIFA came into Zeralo. That position should be elective. If you meet the entry requirements, you can become. So when it happened, there were some people in Ghalca who also felt it was an opportunity to them to become the president of the FA.
Okay.
Yeah. And we also felt that there were others in the system who should have been given that opportunity. So that was what started breaking the front of Ghalca. And I said earlier in this interview that it was during that time I saw myself as not becoming that relevant, because I stated my position that I felt somebody else should have been given that opportunity. So I'm sure I've answered, I've made enough for that Ghalca team. So around that time, before then, I was approached by Ashgold. That was the time they were deducting their points, they were relegation threatened, not on the field of play, through point deductions and stuff.
I want to put my very last question for you, then we move to Ashgold before you started full-time football education.
Okay.
You are still serving as the chairman of Ghalca, and then behind the scenes, you told me that you are in your last term in office as the chairman of Ghalca. I mean, Ghalca as an association seeks the welfare of all the clubs, but I believe you've heard and you've read some news that Ghalca has not been competent enough for the past few years fighting for the interest of the club. How true is that?
Yeah, there is. I will not shy away from saying that there's no truth in that, and the answer is very simple. When Ghalca lost that relevance in the administration of football, people will spend their leisure time. People want to come and show the stuff they are made of, because they know through Ghalca they could become vice president of the FA. They could become a management member of the GFA. They could serve on ESCO, because at that time Ghalca will send a list of people we felt warranted being on ESCO.
Okay.
And we'll send a list that will be shortlisted. So you come to Ghalca meetings, you want to show the stuff they are made of. You are made of. And when we see the potential, you are groomed over the years. So immediately Ghalca lost that privilege that I can come from Ashgold and contest to go on ESCO. What do I need Ghalca for?
Okay.
If I have what it takes to become FA president, or I want to be vice president of GFA, and I can do that through election, I know how to deal with the delegates. What do I need Ghalca for?
Very true.
You understand me?
Very brilliant.
So that was what took the steam out of Ghalca. So Ghalca now is like, yeah, we work on the welfare of the clubs. We do some interventions here and there. But that enthusiasm And even currently, it's getting worse by the day. Now, people try to use Ghalca as a springboard. Somebody comes for election, he's elected to represent maybe Premier Division, Division 1, or any of the constituent bodies that from Ghalca. And he's running a 4-year term. Then after 2 years, there is this GFA election. He resigns. He or she resigns and then goes there. So Ghalca is not the end to the means. It's just a springboard. Well, let me be relevant. Let me be seen to be working for Ghalca so that when the time comes for me to put myself up for election, I'll get some mileage. So that is how it is. So I will be the first to admit that we have lost a lot of steam. But what we have done is that we are still relevant in the football landscape.
But the clubs still have trust in you.
Some have. I would say the majority have. But you see, it becomes an individual interest, more or less. Yeah, somebody can be working for, I want to use for Club A. His ambition is not to end with the club. His ambition is to climb up. So when the time comes for him to even sacrifice the club, that person is ready to sacrifice what to sacrifice. Because the attraction is more at the FA. Look, in the past, Ghalca, GFA was coming to Ghalca for loans.
Wow.
Yeah, there was this particular year, one touch that just came after a year was wanted to say that they were no more going to sponsor the league. Ghalca went into it coffers and gave each premier club those days 2 million cedis to start with the league.
Wow.
Gratis, not a refundable loan.
Okay.
Ghalca was supplying equipment
To all the clubs.
to club on credit.
Oh, okay.
You see, those were the days transfers where players were being transferred for good money. Ghalca, look, Ghalca's relevance is still there. In some areas, for instance, this issue of clubs selling players and paying 10%. FIFA frowns on that. You know,
Yeah.
FIFA frowns on that. But it was Ghalca who stated that position that look, we are the welfare body of the clubs. We know the challenges we are facing. So if we are lucky and team A sells a player, 10% must be set aside. 5% of that or 50% of that should come to Ghalca for us to help us run the association, and also give out some freebies to its members. Then the GFA should also pick 50%.
But someone might ask, or someone will ask that, are these clubs still doing what they are supposed to do in terms of paying the 5%?
Some are not paying. That's why they are facing what they are facing.
Okay.
Yeah, but the challenge now is that how many players are even going out, and for how much? And these same clubs too, they have found a way of avoiding that payment. So he will tell you the player is going on loan, free loan.
Now why is Ghalca not taking them on?
Oh, you cannot cut your own nose to spite your face. They are our members. We can prevail upon them. Their emotions to pay. Some are paying.
Okay.
I'll say that some are paying. Now that it's GFA is cracking the whip, because it's been accepted by FIFA that if the clubs on their own are doing it, FIFA cannot say they should stop. Otherwise, FIFA will have sanctioned GFA for taking that money. You see, so that relevance is still there. We just have to build upon it. And as you are saying, I'm running my last lap. I'm finishing my second term. That hopefully is ending in January 2025. So I'll be giving way. But I want to say that the future looks bright for Ghalca. We should leverage on that recognition that we have from government and all the stakeholders. If you mention Ghalca, everybody knows that Ghalca is a force to reckon with. To use that, we have to divest a little bit. Try to get government, serve as advocacy, get government to throw some attention onto our local competitions.
Okay.
They should invest. And a typical example was what we saw in our last President's Cup when ASEC played Kotoko. Government's involvement in the activities of or the operations of ASEC is something we all have to learn from. And myself and whoever takes over from me, we should not relent in our efforts to get that recognition and get the government to know that you can only reap from where you sow. Yeah, they've been reaping, they've been sowing a lot. The national teams, they should throw some attention onto the local games, the clubs who are developing the players. The players playing Blasters, how many of them
playing in the local league?
Not even in the local league. How many of them were produced by government? No. The players who just won gold in the All African Games, they're produced by clubs. What are the clubs getting in return? So we are trying to make a case for the local game. I think we made we did some frog leaping in the interview. We didn't talk about my involvement in the Black Stars and stuff like that. In 1994, was it 98? I've forgotten. When Alhaji Ghalca became the chairman of, he recalled that, look, Fianoo, the players you nurtured during your days in the Starlets, the Osekufos, the Gargos, they've all moved to the Black Stars. So that was why I went back in 1988. But after 4 years, in 2002, there was this reshuffle, and I had to leave. So people say Fianoo have been welfare officer for over 20 years. That wasn't the case. It's 1988 to 1992, Starlets. Then 1998 to 2002, another 4 years, 2 different segments. And that time, the technical team responsible for the Blasters, that same team was responsible to the Meteors. Okay. So people say, oh, he's been welfare officer for. That was, I remember when the former minister for Alhaji Malamisa, the first day we met, hey, you are Kudjoe Fianoo? I said, yes. You have been welfare officer for over 15 years.
How is that even possible?
Then I said, Mr. Minister, I've never been a welfare officer for 15 years. I was welfare officer for Starlets from 1988 to 1992. Then I went off for close to 10 years. It was when I came back to Ghalca that I was sent to the Black Stars. So that had been, so I went with the Black Stars too for 4 years. And then there was this reshuffle, and I handed over the baton to Alhaji Menkano, who also eventually handed over to the late Upokwe Free. So that is the Blast. I just don't want it to escape me.
I have so much interest in how you revived Ash Gold when you took over. Can you please walk us through that journey?
Ash Gold, a lot of people didn't even know that I worked for Ash Gold behind the scenes.
Even before you were even given full-time employment.
I was in my office in Ghalca when I had a call from this gentleman. Oh, the name just, he is now running Inter Milas.
The second division club.
Yeah, Inter Milas. He's now running. He used to be a die-hard Olympics guy. He played for State Traders when I was there. Okay. He played for State Traders. Is he Hafiz? I think the name is Hafiz. He played for State Traders. So I had that acquaintance with him. One afternoon he called me that I should come to his house. And I sat down. So I drove to the place where I met some 2 white guys. Wow. And then he introduced them to me as coming from Holland, who wanted to invest in Ghana football. So he wanted to seek my opinion. he also played for Olympics, and the parents were diehard Olympics. So he had that love for Olympics. Then he said he wanted to take them to Olympics. And I laughed.
Okay.
I said, oh, Olympics will not work. What structures do you have there to show?
By that time, Ashgood was already.
Yeah, then they called House of Folk. I said, House of Folk. It's a traditional club. And the owners are there. If you bring the money, they will take it. But at the end of the day, to take absolute control over the club will be a problem. Then he said, Kotoko, I said, oh, it's the same thing.
The same thing. Yeah.
Then he said, so where? I said, oh, I know of Ashanti Gold. So they should go there. They have the structures, they have their own stadium. So it was based on my recommendation that Zonderland and Co. went.
The two Dutch
guys went and set up the AS Academy.
Wow. Okay.
After setting the academy, they came to me that they want me to join them. But the motivation wasn't there in the sense that I was working at Ghalca as admin manager, the whole boss to myself, and then the welfare officer of the Black Stars. And I know that as soon as I take that job, I have to relinquish my position as the welfare officer of the Black Stars, and then I have to leave Ghalca. So I didn't, even though they pushed, I didn't go.
And it came a lot of opportunities.
Yes. Then, the rivalry between Ajax and the Rotterdam team. Final.
In the Dutch Eredivisie.
Yes. So, Brooken also approached me. By then I was at Ghalca. He came there with the late Adegoka. And we say ideas. I asked whether I want to join them. But I didn't. Because I was enjoying what I was doing at the Black Stars. Ghalca. Then when they were losing points on the field, then they said, oh, they needed a technocrat. So they approached me that I should come. That one also, I declared. I remember very well, Meteors, we went and played a game, an Olympic qualifier in Joburg. On our return, where they were in the transit lounge, when Sam Jonah came around, then we had some Ashgo players in there, Kofi Amwaku and some few others playing for the Meteors then. So Kofi Amwaku introduced me to Sam Jonah. I said, you come and help us, you don't want to come. But I only smiled over it. Then we came back to Accra. Then Major Sam got employed as the CEO for Ashgold. And he approached me one day. And I said, Fianoo, I want you to come and help us. And I said, I can help you on the side, but full time
it will
be very difficult for me. So he accepted it.
Okay.
So once a while he would send me assignments to run for him. I remember there was this particular year, the year that the Ashgold losing points to registration, wrong registration, stopped. He sent all the registration cards to me in Accra. Those I saw had challenges, I sent them back. For instance, one particular player took a floating letter from the GFA, kept the letter, went and played for one season in Togo, came back and was going to use the same floating letter to register for Ashgold. So when I saw the floating letter, I asked myself, this player played for a premier club in Ghana and was given this floating letter. And you want to tell me that he could not even get a second division team in Ghana to play? That it is now that he's coming to register before I realize that he are going to play in Togo.
already.
If I had not made those inquiries, they will have registered that player with the floating letter, and somebody will just go and come and prove to them that the guy had played the previous season in Togo. They will have lost the points. So having done all this, Major Sam came back to me again and said, Mr. Fianoo, okay, if it is Obuasi that you don't want to come,